It's the Mustang Insider Show presented by Cal Portland, the largest building materials company of cement and construction material products on the West Coast. Now, here's Chris Sylvester, the voice of the Mustangs.
All right, we welcome you to another edition of the Mustang Insider, powered by Cal Portland. The hottest team on Cal Poly's campus right now, it is the softball Mustangs, fresh off a series sweep on the island over Hawaii this past weekend. They have now won 5 straight games. They have pulled even at 6-6 in the Big West. They are right in the thick of the conference race before a 3-game series in the Central Valley at CSU Bakersfield this weekend. And Jenny Condon, the softball head coach at Cal Poly, her 18th season, the 3-time Big West Coach of the Year and the winningest coach in program history, is our guest this week on the Mustang Insider. Coach, that long flight home from Hawaii, I know it's a convoluted trip with the bus trip up to either NorCal or SoCal, and then the long flight over the Pacific Ocean to get there. But I'm sure it makes everything a lot easier when you win all 3 games over there.
Yeah, definitely. You know, winning makes everything a lot better. But it's so fun to win the series, obviously. But most importantly, just to see our kids play well and battle. And, you know, in that 3rd game, we were down and then we were up and then we were down. And, you know, they've just really kind of put it together and figured out how to battle and figure out what we've, you know, needed to do to get it done. So, you know, the trip to Hawaii is always fun for the kids. It's usually a nightmare for the coaches because, you know, they forget that they're there basically on a business trip. But, you know, they took care of business. So I have, you know, nothing but praise for those kids. And, you know, the funnest thing was Kai Barrett, who's our catcher she's from Hawaii. And so that was her first time getting to play there. And honestly, we had a bigger cheering section than the, you know, hometown fans. So that was fun too.
Yeah, that probably helped you out, especially in that comeback win in the finale. There were 5 lead changes in that series finale, and a deep fly ball to center field. I'm sure you held your breath for just a moment, but it was able to stay in the ballpark, and that's a great moment for your program. It's been a journey for you guys this season. There's no question about that. Obviously, you started the season in a stretch where it was tough to find the win column, but what I noticed in much of those early season games, you guys were so close. You guys were right there. Almost half of your losses this year have come by 1 run. 10 of the 21 by 1 run. And many of those were extra inning games and close 1-0, 2-1 games. There's 2 directions that can send a team usually, right? I mean, it can kind of bury you early, or it can kind of tell you, hey, we got to just hang in there. This is a marathon of a season, and it feels like you guys have hung in there just long enough to where you're starting to see the closer games go your team's way, and now you've won 5 straight.
Yeah, it has been a struggle. You nailed it. I mean, those 1-run games are just heartbreaking. And, you know, the greatest thing about this team is they have battled every pitch, every out, every inning. You know, we got blown out a couple times, and every team does that. I don't care who you are. It's going to happen sometimes that you just can't get it done. But those close games were just so heartbreaking, and they usually came down to like 1 mishandled ball or 1 missed pitch, or, you know, even a bad call by an umpire. But, you know, that's part of the game. But these kids have just battled, and they believed, and they kept fighting. I mean, we were 0-10, and they still kept showing up, and they kept showing up to practice, and they kept buying in to what we were asking them to do, and keeping a good attitude, and just really grinding it out. And to see them get the payoff has been so clutch. We talked about it earlier, but that Santa Barbara win when we were down by 6 and came back and won 7-6 really was the tide turning. And, you know, we finally got that payoff. And once you get some confidence and some momentum, you know, that really just changes the game. That's what it's all about. So it's been fun to be on the other end of the streak.
We are chatting with Jenny Condon, the Cal Poly softball head coach. She is in her 18th season at the helm of the program. You mentioned that Santa Barbara game. That was the nightcap of a doubleheader. So you talk about a group that really has a no quit mentality. That was a long day, and that second game was a really long game. You guys are down 6 runs going into the middle innings. The fourth and fifth is when the bats started to come alive, and you were able to string together some hits and base runners and come through with the timely 2-out hits. A lot of your batters were able to deliver in that comeback win. So I think that's just a testament to the group of girls that you have on this year's squad where, hey, we lost the first game of this doubleheader. We're down big right now, but even though it's been a long day out here at Bob Jansen, we're going to keep battling. We're going to keep trying to put together good plate appearances, good at bats, and it just seemed like it flipped a switch for you guys. And it's 5 straight, as we mentioned. Not only did you sweep Hawaii, but you guys swept the Big West Weekly Awards as well. Kate Judy was the Big West Pitcher of the Week, Maddie Amos, the Big West Player of the Week, and Jessica Clements, who's had a terrific first college season, she was the Big West Freshman of the Week. Now, to complete a sweep on the road, and it was the first one at Hawaii in almost a decade, since 2014, you have to have a good combination of pitching and hitting and defense, and you seemingly got all 3 of those things. If you could, maybe touch on those 3 that were recognized by the Big West earlier this week.
Yeah, all 3 of them have been playing really well. And honestly, everybody has. But, Kate came in, and Kate as a freshman has, I think struggled a little bit, as a lot of freshmen do. And, at that travel ball level, you can get away with missing pitches middle of the plate, but not here. Those mistakes get crushed out of the park. And so for her to just let it go, and she gave up a couple of those this weekend too. Hawaii's got some great hitters, but her ability to move the ball through the zone has been what has made her so successful. Even if she misses the pitch or the spot that she's trying to hit, her ball is moving, and that makes it just that much more difficult to hit. So she had 12 strikeouts, which was a career high. And I think just the more success she has, the more confidence she's going to build, the better she'll get. So it's been fun to see her, really her progression from the beginning of the season until now. And to get that payoff, it's been fun to see.
Yeah, well said. Hawaii was 7-2, tied for first place in the Big West. So this was a team that was playing well. They have conference championship aspirations. How much confidence does it give you guys as a coaching staff, and you guys as an entire personnel, that we can beat the best, whether it's at home or at their place?
I think it gives us a lot of confidence. I mean, I think our coaching staff has bought into this team all year, and it's because of their work ethic and their ability. And we see it day in and day out. And, and Maddie Amos has been a perfect example of that. We, in those early season losses, we were crushing the ball, but they were hitting them right at people. We had games where we had 5, 6, 7 line shots at people, and they just weren't going our way, and they just kept grinding and kept buying in, and working on our weaknesses. If it's the outside pitch, inside pitch, change up, whatever that is, we're giving them the scouting report on the conference teams, and they're buying in, and they're staying disciplined, and they're sticking to their plan, and they're getting the payoff. And so to see them get the payoff has been huge. Maddie's home runs, a 3-run home run in the first game of that first in Hawaii was really a momentum changer. And we've seen it day in and day out. And so for other people to see it, it's kind of fun for them to get that recognition.
Yeah, you mentioned Maddie, who was named the Big West Player of the Week. She's hitting 400 this year.
Yeah.
I mean, she's having a great year at the plate, building off of her success from years past with your program. Jessica Clements, freshman, is also hitting 400. And you have had some great players come through this program in your 18 seasons, some that have gone on to play professionally, some that have gone on to pursue a chance to play in the Olympics most recently. But what's her approach, and why has she been so effective a year after seeing high school pitching?
Well, she's talented. We knew that when we recruited her. We felt like we got really diamond in the rough, if you say that. We knew how good she was. She's fast. She can play defense. She can hit. She's got a great eye. She's confident. She's composed. She had a ankle surgery coming out of her senior year in high school. So she was with us last year and didn't play. So she had a medical red shirt. So I think us being able to have her on the team and go through a year of really training and bringing her back slowly has been such a great avenue for her to be able to get out there and see what it's about without having to compete. And then, once she got cleared to play, she's just never looked back. I mean, she's so confident. She's our leadoff hitter. She's really setting the tone on the road. And then, when we're at home, she's done a great job. And the game does not scare her. She's smart. She knows what to do, when to do it. She's really got a high softball IQ, and that's been huge for us.
I think any freshman that's able to come in and have immediate success like that probably has a great knowledge of the game, has a great knowledge of pitch selection and certain situations. And she was one of a trio that was honored earlier this week. And you don't win games without quality starting pitching, and you got that from the freshman Kate Judy. 10 innings pitched over the weekend, 3 earned runs. She was also named the Mechanics Bank Student Athlete of the Week. She's out of Seattle. What's her story? How'd you hear about her, and how'd you get her to the Central Coast?
She actually played for a Southern California travel ball team. She played for the Bat Busters, Rob Bennett. And so he was the first one that said, "Hey, we got this kid out of Seattle." And we went and watched her, and we thought, wow, she'd be a good fit. She fits with, academically, athletically, she competes. She's confident, and those are things that you need in any sort of pitcher. But to see someone come in, and we saw it all fall. She was she's high energy. She wants to compete, wants to win, and I think that was definitely something that played into our success in this team. And whether it's a drill or it's a pitching competition or it's game day, she's really just loves to go out there and have a good time and has good energy. And baseball, softball, everything about it, it's pitching and defense and then timely hitting. And to be able to get some good performances in the circle has been huge for us.
Jenny Condon, head coach of the Cal Poly softball team, is our guest on Mustang Insider. They have won 5 straight. CSU Bakersfield is on the docket this weekend. You have innocence and experience there in the circle, and both have had success with the freshman Judy and obviously the senior Christina Allman. She had a complete game win to help you guys clinch the series at home against UC Santa Barbara. So now that you've seen your team through 12 conference games, you are 6-6. It's kind of been a tale of 2 seasons within the first 12 conference games. How do you feel about this team as they kind of head into what you would probably call the stretch run of the Big West season?
I feel good. I feel confident. Momentum is definitely a thing in softball and baseball, and so I think we've got the momentum going in the right direction. We've got to stay focused. We talk about it all the time. We have to execute the things that we need to do, and it starts in the circle. If the pitchers can get ahead in the count and execute their pitches, and then we make good plays defensively. We've seen that over the last 6 games, 5 games for sure, in our streak of, our 5-game win streak. And timely hitting, we've been hitting the ball well all year, and we're finally getting some timely hitting. But honestly, we have to take care of business on our side. It doesn't matter who the other team is. We're playing Bakersfield this weekend, and so that's who we're preparing for. But I feel good about our chances. I say it all the time. Every team in our conference can beat anyone on any given day. The parity is great. I mean, you've seen Fullerton they're in the lead right now, and they've got 2 losses, but that can change any weekend. And so the team that shows up and executes is going to be the team that wins.
Yeah, Hawaii had 2 losses prior to this weekend, and
Right.
they lost some ground in the standings because of what you guys were able to do over there. Is this a year when you see the spurtability of your team, whether it be playing really well for a stretch or maybe struggling for a stretch? Is this a year where you would really like to have a postseason conference tournament?
Every year we would, but especially this year. Absolutely. We've been battling to get a conference tournament for, it feels like forever. And hopefully we'll get that done. And, the Pac-12 is going to conference tournament next year. So we're really one of the only teams not competing in a conference championship at the end of the year. Hopefully that'll happen sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, we're in this era where Cal State Fullerton, no question, they've had a dominant stretch in your sport. But in a year like this, where you say there's so much parity, a team like Cal Poly can come from the middle of the pack and maybe make some noise in a conference tournament. That being said, you guys are still very much alive in the Big West race. If you can keep stringing together series victories, it's Bakersfield this weekend, and then you get a really good Long Beach State program coming to Bob Jansen the following weekend. Before we wrap up, it was a tough week around Cal Poly, our community last week, as we lost the longtime director of track and field and cross country, Mark Conover. He lost a courageous battle with cancer at the ripe age of 61, and I interviewed him for a number of years on podcasts like this and shows like we used to have at local restaurants and bars. And he always just kind of lit up the room. He wasn't the loudest of guys, but he always had a really positive energy. Almost just the way he mentored his student athletes is almost the vibe he gave off every time we had a conversation. You've been here almost 2 decades. He was here over 2 decades. So you guys had plenty encounters over the years. What will you remember Mark Conover as we look back at the great career he had and the great life he had?
Yeah, it was a tough week. Shocking, I think, would be probably the first word that comes to mind. He's been battling, cancer for a long time, and it was devastating. His wife quoted it perfectly, saying, he crossed the finish line, which is true. But he was such a great mentor to his student athletes, but also to us, the other Cal Poly coaches. I mean, I've been here 18 years, and he was one of the first people that I met, I connected with. He's probably the person I spent the most time with. He used to run by our field every morning at around 8:30 after probably one of their practices before he was going out to another practice. And, we always would cross paths, and we had so many great conversations. And, we're over here the back 40, they call it. But every time I go over to Mott Gym, I'd, go to get the mail. And 2 hours later, I'd come back. My assistants would be like, "Where were you?" I'm like, "I was talking to Mark." Mark always had something great to say. He always had good perspective on, what do you do? And, whether it was traveling or motivating kids or, what to do about this issue in the department. He was so level-headed. He was so positive. He had so many great things and experiences to draw on. And, he was the epitome of Cal Poly athletics and what it meant to be a Cal Poly Mustang. And, the impact he left on his student athletes. So many people have had so many great things to say about him, but, we coaches have been mentored by him for years as well. And, it's a huge loss to our community, especially the coaches in Cal Poly. And it's just sad, but he'll be missed, and he'll definitely be remembered because he's such a special person. And, our hearts go out to his family and to the track and field community, because not only at Cal Poly, but across the country, he really made an impact, and he left his mark on this place.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Let's close out with a little bit of softball.
Okay.
Bakersfield is this weekend on the road. You didn't see them last year. They opted out of their season. And so this is the first time you're going to play them as members of the Big West Conference, because they joined it in July of 2020 in the midst of a tough time for everybody, as we had, the plug pulled on us in that 2020 season kind of early. And then last year was just kind of strange getting footing back, right, with spring sports especially. It was the first full, if you could even call it that, regular season in almost 2 years. So what do you know about this Bakersfield program? I know they're towards the bottom of the conference standings, but at times this year they have beaten quality opponents and they have played well at home.
Yeah, I think they're probably really similar to us. Streaky. They've got some good hitters. If their pitching shows up, they can get it done. Shelby Jeffries, who played for us for 5 years, is their pitching coach. So that's fun. We'll have that connection. And their head coach, Chrissy Buck, as we call her, she played for Gina at UCLA. So there's that history and that relationship with the coaching staffs. But, they're streaky as well. And so like I said before, whether it's Fullerton or it's Bakersfield, the team that shows up to compete and executes, I think is going to have the success. We're excited to get on the road again and go get after it, and hopefully keep our momentum alive. But we can't overlook them. Bakersfield can get it done on any given day, so we've got to be ready to go.
Jenny Condon, our guest this week on the Mustang Insider, presented by Cal Portland. Stay hot, Coach. 5 straight. Let's string together a few more before coming back home and open up that series against Long Beach.
All right. Thanks, Chris.
All right. Another special thanks to this week's guest, Jenny Condon. Her Cal Poly softball Mustangs have won 5 straight and play at CSU Bakersfield this weekend. It's not that far of a drive if you want to go out and support a team playing a very good stretch. AM Sun Solar and Dignity Health, we have to thank our partners for keeping the content from Cal Poly Athletics rolling to you, the fans. If you're worried about rising PG&E rates, go solar, pay less on your monthly bills. Visit amsunsolar.com. AM Sun Solar, your local solar experts. Dignity Health is offering all-star treatment you can trust. Learn more about their healthcare services. Visit dignityhealth.org/Central Coast. Hello, human kindness. And so we say goodbye here on the Mustang Insider, powered by Cal Portland. Stay tuned to Cal Poly Athletics on YouTube and gopoly.com for more Mustang content.
This has been the Mustang Insider Show, presented by Cal Portland, with a commitment to environmental leadership that has made the organization stronger and is the primary choice of contractors. The Mustang Insider Show. The preceding has been a Learfield's presentation on the Cal Poly Sports Network.